annuals.
Yeah, the other two, our pre-K, we have that every
Yeah,
year. And then the 21st Century Grant,
21st
that's
century
our
grant.
after-school program. So you're used to seeing those every year at this time of the year.
Very good. Any questions for Susan? All right, we'll take up the amendments. The first one is she has increase in revenue, increase in expenses of $411,224.95. She itemizes the line is there appropriately. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Alford. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Next amendment is, and there's our supporting documentation. And I'll go to page. Gotta scroll, Susan. Sorry.
I think it's
Yep, page 8. $1,203,718.74. Again, increase in revenue, increase in expenses, and she itemizes there everything from salaries to staff development and other charges. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented from Commissioner Winters? I have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. And there you have the supporting documentation. Going on to page 12. Also increase in revenue, increase in expenses. And again, she itemizes $528,750. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented from Commissioner Winters? I have a second from Commissioner Alford. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. And again, your supporting documentation. Takes us to page 16. Again, increase in revenue, again, increase in expenses, and she itemizes $3 million right on the dot. How about that? Motion to accept the amendment from Commissioner Slater. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
That takes us to page 21, Adult Recovery Court, $2,842.62. Increase in the reserve, DUI funds. What?
This one, you approved this budget last month.
Yeah.
We're fixing where it says reserves, reserve account number.
Okay, so
All
is
you're
it,
doing is fixing just
okay, so y'all see the fix there. We have a motion to accept the fix. I have a motion from Commissioner Offer. I have a second from Commissioner Winters. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Moving on to the next amendment. Oh, this is ours. County Commissioner, we had to pay tuition. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment from Commissioner Slater? I have a second from Commissioner Winters. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Moving on to the next amendment. Misdemeanor probations. Rich, this is the $10,000 for the ankle bracelets. I have a motion from Commissioner Winters. I have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Commissioner Alford, please.
Do we have any information on numbers of people we have on those ankle bracelets? Any information at all about that stuff?
What the utilization is?
But do we have any idea how many people we have on them?
Well, that would be
Anything
utilization.
about it? All I ever see is ankle bracelets.
I don't know. I haven't asked in a while. I know probations is having a committee meeting here at the end of the month. But Lori, if you'll remind me to send a communication over to Rich to find that out, that'd be good to know on how many people. What in the last year, Mayor? I mean, don't throw anything at me.
He asked you, Mary, do that.
Commissioner Alford, what in the last year?
It'd be fine. I just, we
I know
always
there.
talk
I
about
know
it,
there's
but
some.
nobody knows
The-
anything about it.
The thing that's going to come into play is at the beginning of the year, all those that are in the workhouse when they go to work are going to have to wear ankle bracelets. And I guess the question is going to be who's going to pick up the tab? Is it going to be the company or is it going to be us? Is it going to be the individual? That's yet to be determined. Mayor, you've heard about this? I'm sure. Well, I understand. Right now, I guess the state's thinking that the companies are going to pay for it,
That's what they're assuming, and
and when they
We
find
would
out
say
that when they
probably
find
they
out that the
won't-
private sector is not
they
interested in
won't
doing
want
it,
to, but still, if they want cheap labor, they should pay for the ankle bracelet, should be our position, but that might not.
yeah. So it's going to be interesting what happens at the beginning of the year on that. But Commissioner Offer will find that out and get that back to you.
Do we know how much it costs? How much does it, do they have to pay per month?
I think it's
Or
per
is it
day
per
is
day?
the rate,
It's-
like
yeah, it's-
$4 or something like.
$4 a day?
$3 or $4
per
a day,
person?
And he switched to a new system. We're on the Buddy, and now he's on like Proto or something like that.
I just think it'd be good for us to get a little more information about it.
I agree 100%. We'll get that. All right. I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Bradley County Emergency Management Agency, Troy Spence. He is decreasing the fund balance by $116,000, and he is putting it into account 54410, line 706. I think Troy wants to address the finance committee and tell us what his grand plan is for this money. Troy, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Is this on? Okay. So the thought is, we've been having, space issues at 911, that's where our office is currently located. So, the mayor has sent me to do several different things, and the one thing that looks most promising is to utilize this money to get all the information we need to build a building on Peerless next to the, cannery. So, there's a grant out there. Once we get all this information, we can apply for the grant. It's a 75-25 split. So we figure if we build a 12,000 square foot building, it's gonna run about, $2.4 million. We'd be on the hook for about $600,000. Any questions?
Any questions on that? You understand what he's trying to accomplish? Basically,
The money
Cheers,
that I'm asking for is actually off the 2020 tornadoes. It's above and beyond what we were supposed to get back.
Commissioner Slater, please.
So what happened to the discussion about moving to the old Cleveland Bank and Trust building?
We looked at that. We took it to the schools, wait to hear back from them. But we anticipate if we moved there that in total, it would probably cost about $700,000 to renovate and put a generator in big enough to run that.
So in the area that you're talking about where the cannery is there room to put 50 parking spaces there?
Yeah, I believe, we looked at that. Ron pulled it up and we measured that, and I think roughly it was like, almost 400 and something feet. So we feel like that there's probably enough room there to accommodate the parking.
So in conjunction with where the building is today and where the livestock shed is, where is the proposal for your new building?
Okay, so the old entrance to the mall, drive down that, right before you get to the end of the property, it'd be on the left.
So would that be your entrance? Is your entrance is using that?
Yes.
How many people are in your office?
4. The biggest thing is the EOC, the need for that. And the reason why we would do a 12,000 square foot building, we could put all of our equipment in. And generally, the first thing you need during a disaster is someplace to start storing stuff for the public. So we could pull the trailers outside, take the shipments in, break it down into smaller units, put it on the trailers, and deliver it to the community where it needs to go.
For now?
Any other questions? Commissioner Winters and then Commissioner Offer.
What does the 116,000 represent in the whole amount of money?
Okay, so on the 2020 tornadoes,
Yeah.
they usually do 75 and 12.5. The state puts in 12.5, and then we're responsible for 12.5. But after COVID broke out, the president went back and they gave us 90% rather than 75%. So that's where that money, it's free money that we got from.
This
the
will
federal
take care of
government.
the entire match.
No.
How much is 116 will be what portion of the total money?
Okay, so the 116 would be to get an architect to draw it. We got to have civil engineering work. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of work to do. And then we have to ask the U.S. senators to ask for the appropriations of the money to be put aside.
Right.
And then we put in for the grant
And the grant will fill in the rest.
Yes.
Except for $600,000.
And then,
Commissioner Alford.
Yes, Troy, my concern is property down there. I'm pretty familiar with that area. How would you lay your building out? 'Cause,
That's what we would hire a civil engineer to,
yeah,
help us
there's a
do
big
that.
old drainage ditch runs right through the middle of that property.
Yeah, that's the reason why Ron, pulled that up, so we could see exactly where it was and he could do some measuring, from that point.
So you're gonna do it beside the cannery?
Well, I guess it would be technically beside the cannery, but it would be in the very back left-hand corner of that property.
Is it that much property behind the cannery?
There's quite a bit of property there.
If I could add in, it's not really behind the cannery. If you're looking from Peerless Road, it would be the right side back, that wooded area that fronts on that mall entrance. Is where he's talking about. This amendment today, like you said, came from extra money from the storm, and this is things that have to be done in order to apply for the grant. They have to have these engineering things done. And so what he's asking here is, can he use this money to do those things to apply for that grant? If we get the grant and they've approved the full amount, that does leave 600, but then it's an 80-20 split because it's a joint funded agency. So it would be 80% of the whatever the grant doesn't cover.
So we're gonna spend $116,000 and not be sure that we're gonna get the grant?
There is a risk.
Yeah,
That's
there's
a
a
big
risk.
risk.
I guess the thing about it, if we didn't get the appropriations, this coming year, then we would put in for it the following year after that as well.
I got some concerns that we're spending $116,000 and don't have any idea that we're gonna get the grant, though. That's my concern. Even if this year or next year, you know, we still got $116,000 out there floating around. And then we got, what, 600,000 later on if we build the building?
80% of that,
Where
yes,
would
sir.
that come from, Mayor?
Capital projects.
What'd you say?
Capital project. I mean,
Yeah.
would have to. That's
I think it's felt
But-
like that we eventually would get the grant. FEMA has this money out there, but they are somewhat political, sort of like the veterans home. You're gonna get it eventually, but it kept getting pushed out, so that could happen. But in order to, and it shouldn't take all of the 116. That just happens to be the amount of the check that they're amending in to use what we would need to from it. But we do have to do those things. They have to be part of the application. And
I
it's
think-
sort of like the grant that schools are doing now. It's taken a long time for that grant to come through, but
We should be able to use this 116,000 as part of the in-kind too. So
Yeah.
that should cover part of that.
How many parking spots are you talking about?
It would be good to have 50 parking spots. We activate the EOC, there's a lot of people that show up.
Yeah. And you got the cow barn and the cannery. I'm just concerned that we would, you get that many parking spots, you're gonna take up a lot of their property too, aren't you?
Around that cannery over there,
There's not much room between
No.
Mayor's Recycling Center and the cannery. There's zero room there.
what I foresee once they do the drawings, is the square that's not utilized at the present time, not infringing on the cannery or the recycle center, but that wooded area to the right of it with an entrance off of that other street so that it wouldn't be mixed with the things that are there now, because that couldn't happen in my opinion. We can't mess up the cannery or the recycling center. But there is a large wooded area that they feel like would work for this. I guess is the best way of saying that. Until they have the drawings and the engineering stuff, we won't know for sure, but
Mr. Alford.
I just have a real concern spending $116,000 and don't know what we're getting.
Understood. Good.
That's good.
Mr. Slater.
Have you looked at other property that the county owns
The only other place we looked, it looked to be kind of a remote to get into it was at the industrial ball field.
How many acres are there on Peerless Road?
Gosh, I don't remember. I don't remember how many acres it is.
It's all tied together. It'd be hard to see.
You talking about the nursing home? What are you talking about?
No, the out the industrial ball field. out
No,
out
I'm talking
Tasso.
about the Peerless Road. How many acres are there?
I'd have to have that done because it's all tied in one piece from the nursing home all the way over to the cannery. All that's one piece of property.
How much is that?
How many?
17 acres.
Probably, what, 7 or 8, 10 of it's probably on the nursing home side.
So does the old entrance to the mall split that property?
I don't know.
It
It don't split the property. It's just part of the
It's-
property.
Yeah, it is part of it. Would it be east side?
I'm good.
You got Commissioner Winters.
This is the best property you looked at.
It appears to
That
be
that
suitable
plus the other. Yeah.
and
So
and
you like
large
to be
enough.
you like to be more centrally located there.
That
so
is
you
correct.
can get all
Yes,
spots.
everybody could get there in a timely manner.
Commissioner Slater.
So since you haven't heard back from the city schools, why would we not wait to hear back from the city schools before we own this property? It's not going anywhere. So why would we not wait to hear from the city schools?
I can wait. I'm just putting something in place that if we don't do this, then we put money into a property that they want to take back in 10 years, and it's probably going to be more money than this building, our own building.
It'd be more than $600,000 and
We
$750,000.
we think it's going to be about $700,000 time we renovate it. We buy a $330,000 generator to run the place. We feel like that.
Well, how big of a generator are you gonna buy for Peerless Road? Same size?
It won't take near that power to run that.
Is it part of the grant app, the generator?
Yeah, I mean, and that would be one of the things, once the architect draws it, he could tell us what size we're gonna need, but the bank building is a big building, and the only way to run part of it, we would have to have an electrician go in and do a lot of heavy wire pulling to get a smaller generator, which by the time we do that, it's still probably gonna be about $300,000 for a generator.
And if I could add, Commissioner, what's happened with the city, not only have we not gotten a quick answer back, it's starting to be sort of like the fire building. There is a tremendous cost to the build out, which is more than the match on this. Then you've got the generator basically for the whole building because of the way it's wired. That sounded like a really good option, but the longer we went into it, the cost of the build out being more than a match on a grant for our own building sort of overruled continuing to wait. But I mean, we can. And then at the end of the day, you've spent, let's say it's 700,000 for build out. We're probably only going to get a 10-year lease. We don't own it. It's just a build out to lease. So, and we will have spent more than the match on a grant to build.
I can see where the parking could be beneficial because you have the cannery that is there's peak time within that, and that could be a parking area back behind there. Numerous cars, correct?
Yeah, we could, if it became necessary, we could park on that road. I mean, it's a road that goes nowhere.
Yeah, your road there.
Yeah.
But they can come through that road and go to the cannery, go around through there. So I just see it could be a benefit to being there.
How serious have we looked at the Urbane Road property up there by the BMX track in that area? There's probably 10 acres, 15 acres all in there that's pretty decent land to build on.
I think the
flat, a lot of it's flat.
Yeah, but to build the road into it is quite costly too. We looked at that and I had, a guy look at that. He was telling me all the dirt work we'd have to do to build a road in there was gonna really run the price up on that.
Where would he put the road in?
We'd need to come in off one of the other roads or we'd
There's
have to
one
build a
old
road
road,
through the park
see, there's
itself.
an old road already there, nobody ever uses. It runs between the ballpark and, Perry's property. But it would have to be upgraded, but there's a road there. Can I make a motion?
Hmm?
That we table this for further investigation?
If you wanna make a motion to table it, remember, tabling is a little bit different than rolling it. I mean, what was,
I
what do you,
just
what
think
would
there's
you,
a lot of unknowns that I'd like to know more about it.
right now, all we're doing is moving the money, the accounting piece of it, but I get your point. I mean,
We're gonna move it, but we're gonna have to put $116,000.
I'm just telling you what's going on.
Spend $116,000, we don't know what we're spending it for.
what would you like to do, Commissioner Officer? You put that in the form of motion? All right, we have a motion to table this amendment. Have a second? Fails for lack of a second. But we have no problem with rolling this over to December, and you get it more with director and even maybe a site visit if we need to go out there. I've been there once or twice for the recycling piece of it. I know you also have the Parks and Rec headquarters there, right? Up there on the closer to the street.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, right now on Peerless Road, you have the Parks and Rec building, the cannery, and
Recycle center.
recycle center,
And the
and
nursing home.
Nursing home on the other,
the nursing home is,
far south.
It's all one piece of property.
Yeah.
yeah, but you're not going to go on the nursing home
No.
property, right? I mean, you're not even. There's a fence, right?
No.
Okay. Okay. What's the other thing? Oh, the cow thing or whatever. So, would you be opposed to, if you want to do it as a committee or individuals going out there? Probably easier if we all go out there at one time and let Troy point it out or get some maps or something like that. But let's do that. If the committee's okay, we'll roll this, Troy, till the December meeting, which is December the
The
4th.
biggest problem I see
That
with
way we can get on
doing
page
that-
with what you're trying to accomplish.
is a grant process, period. Where the grant opens and where the grant closes, it opens March the 1st.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we do that, there's no way that we'll get everything done that we need to do to apply for this grant.
Yeah, we'll have
It
to
opens
wait.
March 1st, closes April the 15th, and then they award it by June the 30th.
And schools has been applying for FEMA money for the last 2 years. I get it, but in order to get, I guess, this committee and the full commission totally on board with what you're trying to accomplish, I think this is the best course of action. Otherwise, probably not going to pass.
Okay.
So we'll roll this to.
That's
the-
y'all, I'm just making the,
I get it, and I respect it. Also, so we're gonna roll this to the December, and I'll get with Lori and seeing if, and then Land and Building Committee probably wants to be a part of this as well. I'll get with Lori and organize that. All right. So we'll roll this. Thank you, Troy. Don't go too far. Looks like you got another one here. $3,757.85. Decrease in Homeland Security Grant, and you're moving it over to contract with government agencies due to the, oh yeah, we talked about this one the other day. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Winters. I have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Thank you. And there's the calculations. And we get to finance. Moving money from the undesignated fund balance, $2,153.36, and that's going into, oh, this is, our two session judges the state actually gave them a 5% increase in their salary, and 4 is what we budgeted, so we need to adjust the budget accordingly. Renee, you have anything on this?
Well, all I can tell you is when I do the budget, we get C-task money. We do the chart for C-task for our elected officials. That chart comes out in September, and it had said 4% at the top. February, we got the letter from the Justice Department, that they got 5%. I put 4 in the budget. It should have been 5. So we're just fixing.
Yep. I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented. I have a motion from Commissioner
You
Slater.
Mylan, you actually have 2.
Well,
Yeah. But they're two different amendments, right?
Yeah.
I have a motion from Commissioner Slater. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. And this one was for Commissioner Judge Collins. The next one right next to it is for Commissioner Judge Morgan. Same thing. I have a motion from Commissioner Alford. I have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. And that takes care of them. The next one is from the county mayor. He's decreasing the fund balance of $3,470.88, and he's moving it in there. This is the water line that we just had some extra cost that we've already approved when Commissioner Lefford put it to us the other night. I have a motion to accept the amendment from Commissioner Mason. I have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Next budget amendment, $385,000. And this is, again, remember, we're in the ARP money fund 128. This is going into the water line. This is the 5 projects that we approved that we're going to be sending to the commission tonight. That we did this last finance committee.
So move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Winters. I have a second from Commissioner Alford. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Next, we have $2,050 from Fund 54250, and she is moving it over to data processing for her IT, and I love this, Microsoft regulations. Never knew Microsoft had regulations. Anyway, $2,050 for Southeast Tennessee Community Corrections. I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented from Commissioner Slater. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Next amendment, Bradley County EMS, $475. This is one. Association. Okay. I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented from Commissioner Winters. I have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Bradley County EMS, $5,655. Insurance recovery. I thought it was they stole the radio. How could somebody steal the radio? I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented from Commissioner Winters. I have a second from Commissioner Alford. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. And there you see, somebody stole our radio.
Oh, jeez.
I don't find that funny at all.
Did we get it back? Did we get it
I
back?
don't know. You know, put one of those little Apple tags on there. There.
Oh,
I was just going by what the documentation said.
move the insurance check. Gotcha.
Both places it says lost. I don't know where we're getting stolen.
Awesome.
But anyway,
So we filed a
It's to
claim
replace
because we
one.
lost a radio.
It might have flown out of the wreck.
All right, did we vote on this?
Move.
We did? All right, moving on.
Okay.
Bradley County Sheriff's Office, 61,000. Sorry.
6.
Bradley County Fire and Rescue, $12,531.25. He's decreasing his expenses. Also, $30,000. He's decreasing expenses from same account but different line, $790 other equipment. He's putting it in principal on capital leases for a total of $1,554. I looked at this the other day.
It's increasing his principal 40,976.42 and the interest 1,554.83.
The last payment on the bunker gear. All right. And this, I'm trying to remember what, this is like a 3-year one, I believe. Fine, okay. We have a motion to accept the amendment as presented. I have a motion from Commissioner Slater. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Moving on to the Bradley County Sheriff's Office, $61,880, law enforcement grants. He itemizes it here, traffic safety grant 2023-2024. And then she's got it attaching documentation. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Winters. I have a second from Commissioner Alford. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So opposed say no. Passes 5-0. And there's all her documentation. Page 44. Also in the Bradley County Sheriff's Office, $121,498. She's decreasing the fund balance and she's increasing her expenses. This is the grant money that was awarded for mental health transports, coming out of the fund balance because the money was already over there in the previous budget. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Alford. I have a second from Commissioner Winters. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Uh-huh.
Can I just ask one on that?
Please.
Don't we have a group that transports? And this is paying that group, correct? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I knew we.
We
thought were
actually
co-
get billed monthly, and there's different ways we
Right.
can use that money.
Yeah,
Is this
Such as we could have a vehicle, which we bought last year,
right,
and according to the grant, we can buy one every year.
right.
The vehicle will be there, sooner or later it'll go into our fleet.
Yeah,
So we can use all the money which come out of the mental health grant,
right,
which was proposed after I took office. If you
Yeah.
remember, the grant went
Right.
in.
right,
Mike Carter, the late Mike Carter, who was
Mhm.
state representative in Mudawal, and
Right.
Todd Gardenhire actually pushed that bill.
right.
And so that's where that money's coming from. So we can use it in a variety of different ways, but we have a Maramed who we've signed a contract with.
Excellent.
And what they do is do our mental health transport. Generally, they do them mild unless they're violent, then we
Yeah.
have to do them ourselves. But
That's great.
it takes a big burden off of us, plus we get the money from the state.
Great plan. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Moving on to the next amendment. Staying with Bradley County Sheriff's Office, he's decreasing revenue from 5820 COVID grant VCF $2,197.15, and she's moving it into prisoner clothing of the same amount. I have a motion from Commissioner Winters. I have a second from Commissioner Alford. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Staying with the Bradley County Sheriff's Office, $36,362. She's decreasing the fund balance and she is increasing line 354 in her account 54110. This is grant money that was awarded for mental health transports, what we was just talking about. I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented. I have a motion from Commissioner Slater, a second from Commissioner Winters. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Bradley County Sheriff's Office is increasing in revenue, increasing in expenses, so it's money coming in, $409. Oh, this is the weapon that was purchased by officer exiting. I have a motion to accept the amendment from Commissioner Slater. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Yes.
Department budget amendments. The rest of the sheriff's department budget amendments are all the the service charges.
Services rendered? Okay, so we'll take those up as one motion, package deal. Do I have a motion to accept the package as presented? A motion from Commissioner Mason. I have a second from Commissioner Winters. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. That should take care of the budget amendments, and I have to apologize to the mayor. I skipped right over his report, but we'll go right back to you, Mayor. I was such in a hurry to get to those amendments. I was
Yeah.
hoping to not have to talk about that. Just kidding.
The letter from the city is
Yeah.
in your packet, and we have an amendment if you so choose to approve it. So there could be a possible another amendment if you want to. The only thing I had in my report was the credit card report. Somebody asked me last time what all these included. The check date, the receipts attached, receipts signed, receipts detailed, used locally, how many times used, and the amount. That's the questions that we have to answer on everyone. Fire department was all good, assessor was all good, sheriff was all good, mayor didn't use it, and EMA was all good. So nothing eye-catching there on that. On the City of Cleveland letter, I think if you read the letter, it's self-explanatory. That's a project, LIC South and LIC North. LIC South is the road that goes to the industrial park. In order to get the state grant money, we had to do it as an LIC, which means it has to connect on both ends. So it was budgeted that we would spend $2 million, I believe, from memory. We spent our $2 million, and the overage in the project showed up on LIC North. It actually occurred on LIC South. There was a lot of contract amendments not done by Bradley County, not done by me, but there was several amendments and overages in that project. So when they went to finish it, they had to finish it because that was agreement with the state. So when they connected on the north side to the existing road, they actually went over the amount that's explained in this letter. $392,000. The state did pick up some additional money, but at the end of the day, $392,000 over on a, gosh, I lost track of how much the project actually cost, but we were committed at $2 million. So they're asking us to split the overage 50-50, which makes it $196,384.03. If you're in agreement to do that, then we have an amendment that fund came out of the 172 fund, and we barely have enough to meet that commitment if you so choose.
All right, so there you have it. This is a project that predates me being on the commission.
It's a very old project.
Um,
They waited a long time to finish the north, partly for this reason, probably knowing it was
Yeah.
going to go over, but they had to finish it. So
Basically, these are change control costs, right?
do what?
Change control.
There were change orders on the LIC South several years ago when they were building the
Mhm.
road down through there to the industrial park to hook on to that road that was already there. And then,
And pardon the dumb question, but I assume this finishes it. Like
it is finished already.
I
This
mean,
is the
there's-
balance of
once-
what's
once-
owed, yes.
once the 196 is done, that's it. We're not going.
And I do have a packet of backup information that gets us to this point. If you wanted it, I didn't figure you did, but I do have it if anybody does want to go through it of how they come up with this figure. But all of these things come from the state, and they agree. Here's our part. You two split the balance. Is basically.
Commissioner Alford, sorry, Mayor, you were a part of that, I believe, right? This is the project out there. Well, in that area, yeah, right. I mean, the 196, we gotta pay our bills.
No, the road predates the industrial park. We put the road in. The interchange, the state put in totally, and then we agreed to put the road from the interchange south and connect, and from the interchange north and connect. We, the city and county and state. Roughly, the state was agreeing to do 50%, and we were agreeing to split the other portion. And again, many years ago, was estimated to be $2 million. And it's ended up being 2.2.
And everything that we spent on this has come out of 172, right?
Yeah, that's how we paid for all of it back then. Yes, the 172 is committed just for those kinds of things. With the only thing that's coming out of it now from memory is the bond payment for the industrial park. I believe is correct. But the fund balance is sufficient to cover this one last final payment. That's your wishes.
Please.
have we talked with the state, interchange south, is that, where are we on that? And aren't they supposed to be another exit south eventually?
You talking about on the interstate?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that, but that don't have anything to do with this. This is just for the road that connects to Bancroft Road from the Tom Rowland
Yeah.
interchange, and then from the Tom Rowland interchange to whatever that road in that existing subdivision is on the north side. Now, when you get off the interchange, you can go both directions. For a long, long time, you couldn't go north. And so when they finished the north thing, which they were committed to do, it was a city project. We just agreed to the match. When they finished the north, that's when it came up with this balance to be split.
Seems like my memory serves me right. They were supposed to be an exit off down below Snow Hill there somewhere eventually, weren't they?
I don't know about that. I don't.
It's been a long time ago. It's not been discussed anymore, I don't guess. But I was thinking at one time they were supposed to help alleviate some of the traffic off of the one now that's there. But anyway,
Commissioner Winters.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve $196,384.03 to close out this project.
I have a motion from Commissioner Winters to close out this at $196,384.03 to be paid out of Fund 172. The mayor has an amendment for us. We can just adopt that amendment, or do you need it in two different motions? Well, I have a motion from Commissioner Winters to do that. Do we have a second? I have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Mayor, if you have that amendment, we'll take that up.
Do you have the other copies?
It's basically moving some of your fund balance at 172 to some
Yeah,
line.
pass it out to him if you don't mind. I'll read it to you while she's bringing it around. It's lowering the fund balance in 172 fund by $196,384.03 and putting it into the line 713, which is where we paid our $2 million match earlier. It's putting another $200,000 in that line so we can pay off this balance.
Right, remember, I don't believe the 172, it does eat up quite a bit of the fund balance. There's still some in there, I think.
Yeah.
So we're good. We have a motion to accept the amendment as presented from Commissioner Winters. We have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes
We
5-0. So this puts the
Mr.
money
Chair-
in there for you to pay off this.
and on that, our records show it leaves about a $20,000 fund balance, but we don't have the audited figure out yet. So I don't know
I
for
thought
sure,
that-
but that'll
thought
be
there
out
was
in the next month or so.
But everything that's in 172 has already been budgeted anyway, so we're good.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Mayor? Did you have? Yes, Lori, if you'll remind me. Anything else, Mayor? Did you have some art money numbers?
Art money.
We finished up the water project. I thought you were going to give us.
I will have the updated art plan tonight, if that's okay. But the next thing on your agenda, if I could go ahead and talk about it, the interfund loan. Of those three, I know she's given you the balances, but of those three, only two of them are due now. So we have the option of paying off the Workhouse or the energy grant. We don't have enough in fund balance of debt service to pay off the energy grant, but we could go ahead and pay off the Workhouse debt if you so choose. We have money budgeted for the principal payment and interest payment, and using that's already budgeted, we need another $1.2 million amendment in debt service to put it in the proper line so we could pay that debt off.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about. The lowest one would be able to tackle that one and get that off, and the others two would have to look at it at budget time.
And it's a good thing, well, doubt that we'd have it then either, but the good thing is if we can pay off one of them because the interest rate's getting high.
Yeah,
We're
so
right now discussing a 4.something% renewal on both of those, which is, they've been pretty low in the past, but they're not low anymore. So if we can get one of them paid off, that would be a good thing.
I agree 100%. I'm glad we were able to do at least that, knock that off. The workhouse would then be paid off in full.
You want to,
And
me to
then
pass out that amendment for you to look at
if
if
you
you want
haven't,
to? You
thank
got it. And what it's doing is moving from the debt service fund balance, 1,288,000, into the proper line to pay back to the HCI fund, the $1.2 million, in addition to what's already budgeted.
So the 1,208,913.50, is that what it takes to pay off the workhouse?
You take that and add it to the two figures that are in the budget,
Okay. So,
and I think that would be correct thinking, isn't it, Renee? We have principal and interest budgeted. Is that interest not already owed, though?
it's accrued.
So if that's owed today, then this plus the principal payment would get it paid off? So,
To pay off the workhouse, we'll make the regularly scheduled payments on Spring Branch and Energy Grant. I get what you're saying, that we'll just take a look at it. If you say there's not enough in July when we get to the 24-25 budget, so be it. But remember, this is interest in whatever it is paying HCI. This is an interfund loan, and so we're basically paying HCI, which we'll see over on the grant side. So, all right, I think this is a good thing. Go ahead and get this out, because he told me that by rule or by law, whatever, he has to adjust the rates accordingly, and they're going up.
well, we go by the MMD, and the
Yeah.
MMD is up to 3 point something now. And
And
in his defense, he can get 4 and 5% now
that's
at
the
the
other thing.
market. So I'm not getting a really great rate anymore because he can get it other places. So.
exactly, he has to be competitive. But he can take, once this is paid off, he can take that and then go get a higher interest rate on behalf of 192.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Winters. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. And normally these amendments go into the consent agenda, but Lori, if I don't mind, if you don't mind, go ahead and present this one tonight and go ahead and get this approved so the mayor can finish that up. Does that help you, Mayor?
Yeah, because I've got to pay that one this month. It's
Yeah.
due in November.
We don't know what our committee schedule is going to be with holiday. Anyway, all right, we'll take that up tonight. So that takes care of item A on the agenda. If it's okay with the members, I'm going to move opioid funding down. We'll take up Sheriff's Office TCI grant. Sheriff's here with Cassandra. They've received a grant and need to go over the dynamics or the terms with us. Cassandra.
So, we've received a TCI grant, and because it's a reimbursement grant, we just need the approval to accept that. We did receive this grant last year. The problem is a portion of the grant last year was an upfront grant with a portion of it to be a reimbursement grant. So we've received $15,000 on this grant, and the items to be purchased is some riot gear for the corrections division. The grant ends in April, so we should have reimbursement for everything spent before the budget year ends. So just an update as well. The ELC grant that's been approved, that's a reimbursement grant. We did receive our first reimbursement on that, which was $15,683.85. We're currently waiting on our second reimbursement for $20,415. And then y'all had approved the VCIF grant, which is the violent crime grant. And we are waiting on our first reimbursement for that of $31,249. We hope to have all of these grants closed out, hopefully by the beginning of the 2024, so January of 2024. So all money that y'all have given us for reimbursement grants should be back into the general fund before July. So this, we just need the approval and kind of talk about where the money would come from so that I can do a budget amendment if it's approved.
Okay, well, I would assume it would come from the fund balance, Mayor, or you wouldn't use anybody's expense lines to cover it. I mean, if we're gonna get reimbursed, it's pay me now, pay me later kind of thing. But if you wanna,
At the grant approval in writing,
Yes, so I have everything. It's actually already been signed, so it's ready to go. But we haven't done anything on our end because it is a reimbursement grant, and I know those have to come before the
Well,
commission before it
even,
can
even
be.
though it's reimbursable, the amendment, we've not done an amendment yet, right? We just need to do an amendment increasing revenue for that amount and increasing the expense
there
line.
you go.
And that way it'll put the money in there to spend, and as we get reimbursed, it's already budgeted.
Goes right back into it, so,
Does
yeah.
that make sense? I think that's what you're asking, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes, but
I just didn't know if we didn't want, if we didn't want to use anybody's expense line, like our 599 or anything like that. So increase the fund balance by 15,000. Increase the expenses.
revenue by 15,000 and increase the expense proper.
Yeah, for whatever. So, Cassandra, can you submit that,
Yeah,
Renee?
I'll get with Renee. And
Can you submit that? And we'll take it up in December?
Yes. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, so that's the Sheriff's Office TCI grant, 15,000. Right there. I'm sorry. Cassandra, you're gonna hand me, what is that gonna pay for? I mean, riot gear? Okay. No, I just was wondering. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, go next to EMS doors, art money. Mayor, we got a request or that the doors that were on Paul Huff need to be,
I've got that amount that will be in the updated plan this evening also.
okay. And Chief Stewart's here, I guess in your plan also is gonna be the 2 fire engines that he wants to purchase in your plan for tonight?
Right.
Sorry. You wanna go ahead and talk about your 2 fire trucks that you wanna, or do you wanna come back tonight? So, I don't wanna waste your time. Go ahead. From what I understand, Chief has found some fire engines and would like us to consider purchasing them and replacing the one at McDonald. I was actually asked there this weekend. I saw it, and the one at Taylor. God, man. So basically, out with the old, in with the new, and 2 fire engines coming from Georgia. Anything I missed?
No, you hit about everything. The 2 trucks that I'm looking at is, again, they're 1995 models. We're having pretty hard time finding parts for pumps and, as well as the motor, and they've pretty much done their duty. So I looked into a couple places. One with Ben Pierce, who we've been dealing with out of Wisconsin, and then this Georgia group called Faust Brothers.
What kind of numbers are you talking about with per truck? Are they
These are stock trucks, which means they've built them already, and they're smaller trucks as a commercial cab. They're not the flat nose type truck. They're more of the commercial cab. These are going to be rough around 400-ish. 400,000 is what they're going to end up being around each. Where our engine 10 was the last fire engine that we bought in 21, and that truck was 610,000. And today that same truck is about 820. So it's gone up that much since then. So We're looking at smaller trucks for those rural stations where the call volume's a little lower, and they're easier to get around in those back roads.
So these vehicles that you want to purchase are going to replace existing ones. You're not going to just add to your.
Now they'll replace.
So you'll be selling
We'd like to
the
replace
ones that
those.
you currently have for whatever you can get for them.
Yes.
All right. Commissioner Offer, Commissioner Winters, anything?
You asked the question I was gonna ask, what we're gonna do with the two old ones.
Yeah, we would like to get rid of them if at all possible. It's just we'd be band-aiding and we'd be putting it somewhere else.
So it's safe to say that you've had to spend quite a bit of maintenance on those
We have,
vehicles just to
yeah.
keep them operational.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If we
Like-
got,
Go ahead. Sorry.
if we got through these two new, where would we
Yeah.
be with our fleet in general now?
That's a good question.
In far as replacing,
Total fleet, how updated are we?
Okay,
What would our oldest vehicle be at that
yeah.
point?
right now, the oldest thing that we have is an 89 and a 92 model in Charleston. Those are at the volunteer stations. These two trucks, far as full-time stations, we have three trucks are 2013 models. That's Dalton Pike, Menace, Georgetown. Tasso is a 2021 model. And then as we spread around to the outline stations that are paid, those are the two I'm wanting to replace. The McDonald, which they're 95 models. We would replace those with new, and then we could come back into our bigger buildings with higher call volume, and we could spread those out down the road and maybe put those out into the outer stations that are volunteers.
Total fleet. How many, do you feel like we've got enough fire engines for this county now?
Yes, I do. I feel like we got
Yes,
many-
sir. Oh, I'm sorry.
How many brush trucks do we have?
1, 2, 3, 4, right about 7 brush trucks. Now, about 5 of those are going to be those 95 mini pumpers that we bought in 95. And then we have a 2005, a 2002 model, and another 2004 model. Usually this time of year, we'll move one central. That way we can go in any direction, and it's helped out pretty big in the last 2 weeks.
That was my next question. Where you got them stationed out in the rural areas?
We have one in McDonald, Harrison Pike. We have one at Dalton Pike. We have one at Taylor. And we have one at Tasso, Eureka, Charleston.
What's the outcome, or what do you project with the station in Charleston? An all-volunteer station, is that manned in any form or fashion?
It is not manned. It's an all-volunteer station.
So if a call goes out, do we have enough volunteers up in that area to?
We're right now, each station is pretty low in general. And I'm seeing it in all of our mutual aid departments. Everyone is kind of going through that. So we're really trying to get it out in the public more to boost that up there in Charleston. We really don't get around 3 to 4 applications a month. So we try to push it out more as we can. Now, granted, we've been hiring from that same volunteer group too. So if you're being a volunteer with us, we hiring, so we typically pull out that hiring.
If we were going to do another manned station, where would it be?
I'd have to do some homework on that. I would have to really look at just a real shooting from the hip. Be more south, more towards Keith Valley-ish or something like that if I had to, because all of our call volume is all east and south. This is from Benton Pike to Dalton Pike. That is our heaviest call volume, our highest call volume.
So there's no plans to ever manning the Charleston station?
I've not heard
Ever
of anything.
discussed it, in other words, to
Yeah.
any degree?
Yeah, it's been discussed in past administration, but nothing in writing or anything right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor, it's my understanding that because we've, invested in our fleet, that's the reason, one of the main reasons why we had the ISO rating that we have, with
That's true. Keep in mind, those volunteer stations, most of those trucks were 95s. That's back when we put them all in place. Some of them are still okay because they're not utilized that much, but the two stations that he's proposing to buy these smaller trucks for are now two-man paid stations.
Mhm.
Don't get them confused with full battalion stations, but remember, we added Prospect, McDonald, and Taylor's as two-man paid stations. And so these two trucks are those old volunteer trucks, but yet they're at paid stations, so they're getting used more and more. And that's why he's suggesting that we replace them. And it would be a smaller truck because they're two-man paid stations. They're not four-man battalions like the other five are. He feels like getting two of the smaller ones for those stations. Now, the way that works, and Taylor's has a lot of runs, probably the number one station of the two-man stations is probably Taylor's. But if you have a fire in one of those areas, the two-man paid stations, there's two men paid there all the time, and they can take off to that fire, while the closest full battalion station is also coming, really two of them. So you've got 6 and 8 people very shortly, but 2 people, sort of like first responders, are on their way to that fire. That's the ones that we're looking at getting two of the trucks replaced for. And back to your question, yes, I know we get some knock about the last truck that we bought, but it did help tremendously in getting that Class 3 rating. And this will help because these two trucks are getting used a lot now, and they are fairly old.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. This will be part of your thing tonight, so there's nothing for us to approve right now.
He,
Um,
unless he just wants to, he has a letter that I will pass out tonight with the updated plan that will tell you what he's saying for the benefit of the ones that aren't here today. But that's pretty much what it's all about is instead of an $800,000 engine for a paid battalion station, 2 of the smaller ones for the two-man paid stations.
I mean, the 800,000 one way or the other.
I've got 810 in there. It looks like 405 each. It comes in 8. That's great, but 810's what's there.
And whatever you get for the 2 that you're going to sell off, you just put that back
That
into
will
your
go
fund
back
balance.
to their fund balance,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's one of the things you said is if you order a fire engine now, you wait 2 years.
2 or 3 years,
So
yes.
you'll have these here in a couple of months, maybe by spring, right? All right. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, last thing is the on the agenda is the opioid funding. As you know, last month we heard from a number of organizations on that, and since then some things have come in, and just something for us to chat about. I asked Lori to print out this document here from the Attorney General, and basically what it says is KVAT Food Stores, also known as Food City, they had a settlement with the Attorney General, and you see the number there, 45.5 million. And from my understanding in chatting is that those counties that have a store in their county are going to receive part of that. And then we received some. I was looking at the account analysis. We received an extra 30,000 or something like that since then. My point is this, and Adam helped me out. We also had another organization inquire as to whether or not they could apply for opioid money. I was gonna think is that like we've done with others, like the water and HCI, we need to put some structure to this program because we want to be fair and all that. So I hope that we can hold off on making any awards today and think about going forward. One, how much we're going to get, or how much we have, how much we're going to get, when we're going to get it, and what we kind of want to do with the application process as far as cutoff dates and stuff like that. What I don't want is for some organization to say, I didn't know there was a cutoff date. Well, we didn't have a cutoff date because we hadn't come up with one. We need to put some more structure to it if we want to be successful at that. And we are going to be getting more here shortly, if I understand this correctly. So, I think we need to hold off on. We've heard from them. We still got their documentation, but we may want to wait a couple of months. And last, from what I understand, talking with CTAS, they've got some things that they would like for us to consider as well. Commissioner Slater.
So I guess you kind of answered my question. So you're not looking to award any of that money in 2023?
I was hoping to wait till February in order to get everything in order as far as policy, timelines, stuff like that. Because we get in,
Yeah,
The
it
holi-
just would have been nice to have that stuff in order before we had all those
I
people
agree,
come.
100%. I'll take it on the chin. I didn't know about this. This came out just as we were meeting last month, and I didn't see the other award that we had. A lot of things are moving. That's kind of why I'm saying we need to, on our side, pause just a second, because a lot of things are moving pretty fast. Mayor, you tell me, the state hasn't really come out and said like they do other things. Each February, you're going to get X amount, or anything like that, so that we know what budget year or how to do it. It's kind of like an award comes out, and then the next thing you know, they send it down to the trustee's office. So,
Yeah. Originally, they said in the spring we would be getting this for the next 17 years. That was the amount that's in your budget. So we went ahead and budgeted. Then, like you said, there was a dribble amount came later. Now there's another one going to come by the end of the year, they say. I don't know if that finishes all of them or not. And I don't know the timeline of those last two, if they're going to continue for 17 years. You can go ahead and do an awarding in February if you want to, but until we have a year behind us, we're probably not going to know. And even then, it's going to change a little bit every year. So what I would do next year's budget is I would budget the revenue that's come in during this budget year. We'd put it in the budget for next year, and that way we would always be using the previous year's revenue, which is what we did with the budget you have now. That had already come in. We don't know for sure how much this one here is going to be. Well, I've seen the chart, but until I get it, I don't know.
exactly.
And so, I guess what I'm saying is it's changeable. But at some point, maybe starting next year's budget, we will do a budget proposal based on what we've actually received this current year. But you can go ahead and award as much of what you know we've gotten that's in your budget already that you want to in February, and you'll probably have more than come July.
And who will make those guidelines?
Us,
Finance?
finance, and ultimately the full commission.
And CTAS is now getting some formalized things
That's the other
together
thing
for you to
that-
use, going forward. So, Adam's been working with them on those things, and that's probably going to be the better way to do it. Go ahead and set it up for that second budget year, and that way it'll be in place from here on throughout.
Commissioner Slater, Commissioner Winters, and it. No. We're not gonna leave them hanging. We'll communicate with them. You have their contact info, right, Lori? It's only to their benefit. I mean, from that point of view. Commissioner Winters and Commissioner
If there are additional funds coming from the state, I know they'll be auditable. And they'll be requiring probably the system here to be able to do reports on these funds. So it probably is in our best interest to wait until we know what the amount will be, and then we can prorate as you're talking about. But if it's going to become auditable and there'll be an audit trail, we probably need to wait until we know more about the amounts we're going to get, as well as what is acceptable with the state, where that can be spent at, what it looks like to be.
Yeah, to that point, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, if you've heard differently, but these funds are going to be audited, but they're going to be, I guess they hired or contracted out with another, for the lack of a better word, firm to audit this. It's not, our normal comptroller audits our county budget.
It's going to
But
be
because
as
this is
bad
a-
or probably worse
Because this
than
is
the ARP.
a judge ruling or
The
something like
state's
that.
set up things like you're referring to, and
This is going to get audited heavier.
you know, like these programs you're talking about now, I know we're pretty sure are
Yeah.
okay to be funded, but there's things in the existing. I mean, we're confident we can fund a juvenile drug court, for example, but everything they're purchasing with that juvenile drug court budget, the individual items in there, it's not clear that that's okay. So this first year, I don't know how that report's gonna work out. And being done by the state, it's probably worse than ARP at the end of the day. And the main reason is they wanna make sure it's spent for opioid. But, you know, there's opioid prevention, there's opioid, all kinds of opioid things there, and we're confident what's in your budget now is okay, but the details of it, when we have to report on it, I don't know for sure.
But
We're
we
playing
trained,
that by
we
ear.
spent some money training a K-9 off of this money.
Yeah, I mean, that could be considered questionable. It's for drug prevention, but at the same time, I don't know how much gray area those people that are doing the reporting requirements are gonna have. So,
Right, so that was just my suggestion to the committee. If you guys wanna move forward, I'm sorry, Commissioner Alford.
I guess the reason I have a problem waiting till February, these people that come in and ask for money, that's November, December, January, that's 4 months probably. How much good they could be doing if we already give them their money rather than waiting till February? Why don't we got the money, we know we're in pretty good shape with that money we got right now.
you
So
can
why
go
don't
ahead and
we
award
Give
that.
them their money and then look at your criteria and things for the next go around, you might say. I just feel like these people could get a lot of work done in the next 4 months if they had their money. I mean, that's what it's for,
yeah.
to help with drugs. So 4 more months without any help for a drug addict or whoever they're dealing with, that's a long time sometimes.
And you could go ahead and award the amount that's in your budget that's not been spent yet, if you so chose. And probably you're not gonna get to the bottom of the list, but you could tell the others that in the spring, once we have a better handle on how much more we're gonna get, we may be doing some more awarding. If not, we will become the new budget in July. But that's totally up to you if you wanna go ahead and address some of them now. Or soon.
The real challenge in this one, and we saw that when the 6 to 8 came through, is there's so many vantage points they're coming from. Some are coming with direct care for addicts, some are coming with supporting different sections of this. So I think we've got to be careful of go ahead and spending money here, and then later on, say that this is not going to be appropriate later to be spent, and we've already spent our money in another direction. But it is very complicated right now. It's complicated for us to make a decision on each of these groups that came in are very, very much suitable for serving, as you were saying, as quickly as we can do that. But I'm a little concerned. I think we need to know a little more what is totally acceptable, because we got some that want to do furniture for a building. That's good, and yet we don't have the building in those kind of situations. So all of that in place makes it a little tough for us to make a decision which of those 6, 7, 8 came in would get how much money. To me, it's tough to make that.
If I could add to that too, I don't know how they're gonna look at it, but if I was one of those people that's making you do the reporting, they wanna see, in our budget, we show a lot of prevention money. We're spending money to prevent, to stop, whatever you wanna call it. We don't have, and we have the line budgeted, which is the line you're talking about for these programs. But if we had to do a report today, we're not able to report any of the program part of it. It's all on the other side, you know, the canine dog or the drug detectives or the juvenile drug court and on that's in the budget. And again, I left that other part, the programs, for you all to decide. But until you approve something there, that part's missing in the report. They're gonna say, well, you're doing all this drug prevention, they could say, but you're not doing any of the programs to provide the services that we want out there. It's budgeted, but until you approve something there, that part is missing, and I don't know if they'll look at it that way or not, but they could.
Anything else? Commissioner Slater?
I'm personally am not opposed to go ahead and awarding those that have already come and shared some money. Maybe it's not all of it, maybe it's some seed money until we get the rest of the guidelines. I'm kind of like Commissioner Alford. I remember a comment that Commissioner Cry made related to art money not being used, and it doesn't do any good sitting in the bank. So, I mean, I can go either way. I mean, I pretty much, after the presentations, have my mind made up as to who I could support and who I could not support based off their presentations.
Okay. It was really just an idea that based on what I was being super cautious. So if you guys have stuff that you want to present to the committee, you're recognized. Go ahead. Please.
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and fund the people that we've okayed to fund.
We
And then
haven't
hold
okayed
off on
anybody.
any new people until we get all the facts and figures right for the future.
Let me make
and
sure I
set
understand
our
you.
criteria and everything.
Let me make sure, we haven't okayed anybody yet.
Well, we've got some listing.
We've had presentations.
Yeah, presentation.
Okay, so
And just like Miss Cindy said, that we pretty well know who we're gonna fund. I know who I would fund.
exactly, you know, so the floor, open floor. I mean, we have 5 organizations, I believe. Here's the thing: the requests are higher than the amount we have, even with the additional money that just came in. So, if you want to fund all 5, you're not going to be able to fund them all completely. So,
So
what do you want to do?
So if we fund if we look at the 5, and I in good faith can only fund 4 of those based off the presentations. And maybe it's not the full amount, but maybe we look over the next month. I mean, it's going to be December 5th before long again, and we come back ready to present that in December 5th as to what that number is. Or maybe it's, I mean, I know we have more requests than we have funding, and maybe if someone's asking for $60,000, and I'm just using that as a round number, they get $30,000 now, and in 6 months, they get $30,000 more dollars. I don't know.
Okay. The other thing to keep in mind is, are these going to be I mean, we award this now, and do we tell them this is what you have until the next application process opens
I would think
up?
they would have to reapply.
So they're going on
It's
an
not, I
annual,
wouldn't
on an
think it's a
annual
given
basis.
from here on
On
out.
an annual basis, they got to reapply. All right. Give me 1 second. All right. Lori, do you happen to have, I know you're going to kill me. Do you happen to have the organizations and how much they requested handy? Or Adam? Or ATS Bridge. I think it was like 60 something, right?
2.
Boys and girls. You said 16?
No, I'm
30K. Dream Center. How much was Dream Center? 62,000. Just keep it in the thousands. Number 4. Caring Place. Foundation. 51. All right.
You say for ATS, the bridge, they dropped theirs to 63,000.
63.
What's that?
And what was the mayor or Adam? Do you remember the total of how much we have to offer out? And if you want to include the
170.
new number in there,
Was it
you can.
172?
It's 195,086 minus the amount of the drug dog. I don't have the running balance here.
The drug dog was 15,000.
Even?
Yeah, that's what it's in the account analysis report.
Okay.
That's 180,000 we're talking.
So you take 195,086 and take 16 off of it, that's what you have to award.
I'm sorry, can you say it again? I'm sorry. but we've had some,
Right. Yeah, you've spent 24 of it, and you have 171,086 left.
171 is the magic number there.
Right,
086.
086.
All right.
So what,
So, does everybody have that? Commissioner Mason, Commissioner Slater, Commissioner Alford, Commissioner Winters, Lori, you have this? I'm just repeat it, so we got it all
what is it?
in front of us. ATS The Bridge, $63,000 request. Boys and Girls Club, $30,000 request. Dream Center, $62,000 request. Caring Place, $100,000 request, and Foundation, $51,000. That's what I have. Is everybody in agreement with those numbers?
No.
And then the amount that we have to award out is 171.
What is the grand total of all the requests? Total it up.
Second.
Make sure we have an official number of that too. Too much? Percentage.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Please.
So I personally, at this time, cannot support the Dream Center with their $62,805. They presented numbers that they don't even have quotes for. They're numbers that they thought this is what furniture and things would cost. So there's no hard quotes related to the Dream Center. And they do not have a building that they have secured yet. So I don't know how they're going to administer their program if they don't have a building. So at this time, I can't support the Dream Center.
You putting that in form of a motion?
I can put that in form of a motion that I would not recommend supporting the Dream Center at this time for the reasons that I stated.
I have a motion from Commissioner Slater to exclude Dream Center, which is their request is 62,000. Do I have a second? I have a second from Commissioner Alford. Any discussions on this motion?
While I understand
Please.
they truly have a heart for this ministry, for this program, I can't support that when they don't have a building. And we did not see hard quotes to back up the money that they're asking for.
Commissioner Winters?
And I think added to that motion would be that at a future time, when all this is done, they could come and apply. Yeah.
All right.
That's, doesn't have to be included, but that's
All right.
what I think.
It's my opinion they can apply for HCI if they meet the qualifications for HCI. I mean, that's a totally different bucket of money, but that's theirs. So we have a motion and we have a second to, what was your, you can state your motion
It
again?
is clear,
Just to
my
take-
motion would be to exclude the Dream
Exclude.
Center
exclude it.
at $62,805.
I have a motion from Commissioner Slater to exclude Dream Center from the consideration. I have a second from Commissioner Winters. I'm sorry, seconds from Commissioner Alford. Any further discussion? Seeing that, all those say no, all those in favor of the exclusion, please say aye. Aye. Those, so 5-0. That takes us down to 234.
So what is,
So,
Mr. Chairman,
please,
what is 170, we have 171,086. What percentage now of the request versus the amount of money we got? So if we're saying if we took the 171 and divided it by 1, 2, 3, 4, what do we come up with?
what?
If we have 171,086 here. That's what we have now,
Got
right?
171 to grant out. That's how much you
Yeah,
got in the
that's what I'm
bank.
saying.
Mhm.
But if we divide that by 4, what are we talking about?
Oh, so you're
That's-
just,
Yeah, it's 42,000 for each group.
so you're just treating everybody equal.
What that would be is, as you were talking about, seed money, and the fact that we do not have, at this point, all the guidelines of
Yeah.
future money. But this is, I think each are worthy of seed money, and then you get to the point, maybe it's a little less percentage for one
The
of the
thing of it
others.
is there you have Boys and Girls Club who didn't ask for that much. And
They're
boys.
getting more than they asked for.
Boys, they 30,000. So
Chair.
what is the figure?
one second.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just
Okay,
making that
Chairman
same
Cry,
point.
please.
Would it not be better to take the 71, divide it by question percentage?
That's an equalization thing, yeah.
Instead of dividing it by 4,
Yeah.
just a percentage.
That's, what would that percentage be? What are we talking about? How much money?
Well, first of all, is there any others? I assume, and I hate to do that, I'm not gonna do that, that the 4 that are remaining, we want to fund. I mean, we just excluded 1. Are we still,
Mr. Chairman,
please?
with the caveat that the Boys and Girls Club, while they have other units in Polk County and Monroe County and Meigs County, this money is strictly to be used for Bradley County.
I think that's the case with all of them, but yeah, glad
Yeah,
you-
I mean, yeah, correct. But it's strictly to be used for Bradley County residents.
Bradley County Boys and Girls, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that goes for all of them though. Foundation,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
to
that's
your
gonna be a
point.
caveat in our agreement with all of them, because as I mentioned to the organizations when they came up here last month, every other county in the state of Tennessee received opioid money. How much, I don't know, but every other county has money to spend how they so fit. So yeah, to answer your question. And that'll be a question we ask them towards the end. That's the other thing to think about, is how do we judge them on the use of their money at the end of a year? But we'll talk about the structure and the policies later on. The way ATS the Bridge, Boys and Girls Club, we're gonna have to do some math here. It says, hold on. 63, 30, 62, 51, 3, 6.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we could give the Boys and Girls Club their request and divide what's left by 3. But then then that makes everyone else not really getting their request, but so you'd be dividing 141.86. That's $47,000 to
Right.
each one of those. That's just
Chairman.
half of what the Carrying Place is asking for.
Mr.
That's
Chairman,
one consideration. Thank you.
why don't we make it simple and just give each one of them 50% of what they requested? The ones that's left, 4. Then whatever money we got, we keep until we need to use it later on. That gives them all enough seed money to get them started.
Oh, we can't do that.
But the Boys and Girls Club wouldn't be able to do their program with only
Yeah.
$15,000. I don't think any of them would be able to do their programs with just half of the money they're asking for.
So, Lori, let me ask you this. Help me with my math here, everybody else as well. Commissioner Alford, that's an idea, and if you want to go forward, but I'm not going to be able to support that right now. I get what you're going. ATS the Bridge is 63,000, and Boys and Girls is 30,000 for a total of 93,000. We got that. And the other two, the Foundation and Caring Place, we go ahead and strike Dream Center out. Is 151. That'll be 170,003. So that would be my proposal, Commissioner Alford, is that we fund fully ATS the Bridge and fully Boys and Girls Club, and 50 on the Caring Place and 50 with Foundation. Like you guys arguing the point a few minutes
I
ago.
can't go along with that. 'Cause
Okay.
I think
Well,
a Caring Place, if we're gonna fund anybody full, they do more than anybody, so I think they do full
They're also
funding.
going to
if
get more
nothing.
state money, but to your point a few minutes ago, that I heard you say loud and clear, let's get the money out there. So why do we want to keep 117,000 in the kitty? I mean, that's a little. You're the one that said It doesn't do any good for us. 50,000. That's half.
And Corinne, Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yeah.
Corinne did say they would take less if it meant funding other partners.
Yeah, and I know she's really working with the state on a much, much bigger process. So ATS the Bridge can get their program starting. Boys and Girls Club can get theirs started. Foundation and Caring Place, if you fund them at 50%, and then with the anticipation that you're gonna
Come
fund
back
them
and
as
get
soon
some
as,
more.
I'm sorry?
They could come back and ask for some more.
And then as soon as the money comes in, they're next, quote unquote, next in line to get the full amount of their request. That's my proposal, 'cause that gets the money out into these organizations. And Caring Place can use the 50,000, and they'll do well with the 50,000 foundation. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's the one where the young lady gave her testimony or whatever.
If you took the 50,000 off of Caring, give them 50, add the 50 back to those other three, pretty well would fund all of them.
If you not fully,
To 50.
Just give Caring Place 50. She said she could do less.
Yeah.
right.
Then add that 50 into the other three, that would pretty well fund most of them, I would think.
No. Because the foundation is 51,000, Boys and Clubs is 30,000, that makes 81 with another 63.
That would leave 28,000 for Foundation House if you did that.
So my recommendation is just that. Fund fully ATS Bridge, Boys and Girls Club, fund fully, and 50% Caring Place and 50% Foundation. And they are next in line as the money comes in to make them whole. But
Are you,
You
putting
guys-
that in,
th- th-
are you putting that in form of a motion?
no, I'm not gonna make a motion on the chair, so unless I hand the meeting over to the mayor.
So,
But please, I'm sorry, Adam, I didn't mean to wrong you. That's my anticipation. No, their application is good. It's just we've got more money requests than we have in the pocket. So let's say in theory, and I quote in capital letters, in theory, the state sent enough to handle their request next week, in theory, then they would be awarded. In other words, they're in the queue to be fully funded. I like their organization, it's just that I think the 63,030 is more on the prevention side. The ATS, the Bridge, the Boys Club is the prevention side, whereas Caring Place and the Foundation is more on the
transition.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, got brain dead. But it gives them, for Caring Place gives her 50,000, and she'll do well with that. And Foundation, then we look at their documentation. That's per person is what they're saying. So they'll be able to start helping people immediately. That's just my idea. You guys can knock it away because you guys are good at that.
What do you need a motion on your idea, I guess?
Well,
Mr. Chair.
If I have any friends on this committee, they'll do it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
if I may. I'd like to make a motion that we fund ATS The Bridge, Boys and Girls Club at 100% of their request, Dream Center at 0, the Caring Place and Foundation House at 50% of their request, and when additional money comes in, fund the remaining balance of the Caring Place and the Foundation
I have a
House.
motion from Commissioner Slater to fund ATS The Bridge at full, Boys and Clubs at full, 0 for but we've already excluded them. Caring Place at 50% and Foundation at 50%, with the caveat that as money comes in from the state, that they get full funded until their request is completed. Is that how you are funding, or not funding?
Can,
I have a second from Commissioner Alford. Any further discussion? Seeing none.
can she convert that to dollars? Don't say 50% of. How much
All right.
money?
So
It'd be my
Yeah.
pleasure. 1 second. Get my calculator out.
this is
ATS The Bridge will be 63,000. Boys and Girls Club will be 30,000. The Caring Place will be 50,000. And the Foundation House Ministry
25.
will be $25,422 to be exact.
Mayor is making sure your math is good. Commissioner Witt. Thank God. Commissioner Winters, you are recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I am a founding member of one of these fine groups, ATS The Bridge, and I support the motion, but I will pass on this one.
Understand.
Let the committee do that.
I think everybody understands that you're on the Boys and Girls Committee and all that, so that's honorable. Okay. You got anything? Yeah, we haven't a moment to lose, apparently.
Yeah, I don't get what you get. You take 171,086, subtract off 63, subtract off 30, subtract off 50, and what did it leave for Foundation House? Mine says 28,086. Is that? Where are you not wanting to do the total? Why, I know, but it's an odd amount. Why not do it all? That's in the budget. Don't leave an odd amount there. But if you want to just do 25, that's fine. I'll write down 25.
Out here. You can't blame me for a long meeting today. Oh, please. Yeah, just wait till next month. Now, we do need to put some structure. I think we can all
We need
agree.
to
We need a,
We need to vote.
yeah, I'm waiting for the 25.
25. 25.
But we do need to put some structure to this as far as applying for it. We have another organization. What was the name of that organization? Bradley Prevention Coalition will probably be in the next round, and we probably need to have some structure as far as like we did with HCI. It's very nice and neat and orderly, so that no one feels like they got left out, so to speak, and that's putting it kindly, right? So be thinking about this ongoing and how we're going to handle application amounts, how we're going to judge how they use the money, that kind of stuff. All right. We have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? Commissioner Slater.
Okay.
Yeah, they.
Okay.
And I guess they
That's all.
got the memo.
Thank
All right. Any further discussion? Mayor, you got anything? Good.
If you, if you approve this now, think of it as this will get us through this budget year, and at budget time, we'll have a better idea of how much we have. Instead of 600,000, might be 800,000 next year. Get your stuff formalized so that they won't be making these one-on-one political requests.
I agree.
That way they go through the process,
I agree,
everybody's on the same page.
1,000%. This-
But if you'll coincide it with the budget process, because my budget proposal is only going to have the amount, and then you have formalized the process, then you can award it as soon as the budget's approved, and it won't be political because you've got that process in place.
I agree 100%. I mean, coulda, woulda, shoulda, in a sense that maybe in fall we should have done that, or earlier we should have done that. But when HCI first started, they didn't have a formal process. Next thing you know, we have an expansion of the library, and we're paying on that still. So, anyway. We have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 5-0. And one abstain. Four and one pass. Thank you. Going back to our agenda, that's all the agenda items. Any other business? Mary, you have anything? You got your updated on the art money tonight, on the funding of that.
And on that subject, you've
The
heard
water,
about,
we just approved the water thing of 360, so that's
you've
gonna
approved the
come.
water thing, so that's reflected in there. You've heard about the fire trucks, that's reflected in there.
The, EMS doors.
The MS doors are in there. Uh, you had a request from the road department. Part of that request is in there. What's the other biggie? Anyway, the intent is to get everything in the plan that we know of as of now to some amount, and that's what you'll see tonight, okay?
All right. That concludes that. No other business, Commissioner Mason, Commissioner, I'm not seeing none. Next meeting will be December the 4th, 2023 here. And by the way, just so you can get your calendars, I'm going to Chairman's prerogative. The January finance meeting will be on January 8th. Now, that's the day that we have a commission meeting, so it'll be right after that. So as soon as Chairman Cry adjourns, take about a 10, 15-minute break and come in there. I just don't want to come in here on January 2nd, the day after New Year's Day, and take up, stuff like that. So we'll wait till January 8th, and we'll meet right after the commission meeting, if that's okay with everybody. Good. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?